Hey everybody, welcome back to the Whiskey Cove, and on today's episode we look at 5 of the best whiskies for this coming fall. Run that video. Alright then folks, let's get into this video. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. It's been a pretty long summer here, and as we start kind of moving into these colder nights, even though we're not quite at winter yet, I want to talk about probably 5 of the best whiskies for fall. So some of the parameters, I guess, for these whiskies, none of them are rye because I feel like we're not quite in rye season yet. Maybe we might have some whiskies that have some bacon spices or a lot of bacon spice notes in those whiskies, which are really going to be suitable kind of for the autumn months as we're kind of dwindling down the winter. So as I'm doing this video, I'm going to pour myself a pour of the Smoke Wagon and cut the Younger. I did a review on this. I think it was actually my first whiskey review for the channel. I'll link it up here somewhere so you can take a look. And like I said, it was my first whiskey review, so I'll go easy on me with this one. With that being said, let's get into this video. Yeah, this is a pretty solid whiskey. It's not going to set the world on fire, but solid nonetheless. All right then, folks. So for bottle number 1, you want to get yourself a toasted or double oaked bourbon. As these days are going to get darker sooner, you can still have the time in the fall, or you still have the weather in the fall to sit outside near a fire. And there's nothing better than having a toasted or a double oaked bourbon. You could have something like a Michter's Toasted. I know that's a little bit harder to find. So if you can't get that, maybe get like an Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. I'm feeling like I'm seeing these a lot around lately. I think you should be able to pick up one of these if you do a little searching. I think MSRP on this is about 60, same as that, but this one is the Michter's is really hard to find. But the whiskey I went for bottle number 1 was Old Forester 1910. Everybody out there should be able to find Old Forester 1910. Maybe Pennsylvania and Utah, which are like DABC or kind of like government run liquor stores, it might be a little bit more difficult. But for the most part, you should be able to get this. MSRP is again similar to the other toasted, about 60 bucks. 46.5% alcohol by volume and 90 proof or 93 proof. I just feel like this is a lot more syrupy than those other two. It's almost like a bit of a dessert whiskey, but I think it's just a perfect whiskey for sitting around a fire, possibly a cigar if that's your thing. Just so much of that toasted caramelized burnt sugar notes that come through. Don't get me wrong, you can drink this any day of the year, but I think it is perfect sitting around a fire in the fall. So that was bottle number 1. So for bottle number 2 on this list, and again, like I said earlier on, none of these are going to be ryes. So this one is Russell's Reserve 10-year. Why I chose this, I think that if anybody who has tried Russell's or Wild Turkey products, they generally have a lot of bacon spice notes to them. I'm not quite sure how much rye or the mash bill is on this, but that could be down to maybe like a higher rye mash bill on this one. But you definitely get some of those kind of like fall cinnamon, nutmeg, bacon spice notes. And I feel like this is kind of like a good segue going into the winter before you hit rye season. This is kind of like a good whiskey to prepare for it. And it's 10 years, it's a 10-year whiskey as well. And I had this on sale, I think it was like $32, which is just fantastic value for money. And again, another whiskey that everybody should be able to find out there. And for less than $40 as well. And for value for money, I think this is fantastic. It's an A+, and I think this is a fantastic whiskey for this fall. So that was bottle number 2. So going in on bottle number 3, and I also did a review on this as well, and this is a new release from this year, and this is a Jack Daniel's Bonded. This is obviously 50% alcohol or 100 proof, and I love this bottle. The first time I tried it, I just fell in love with it completely. I think that this has some of the notes that you normally get from like stronger 60% alcohol plus like cast strength whiskeys, but without the burn. It has like a lot of those like caramelized notes, kind of like the 1910, but just it gives you just a little bit more of that alcohol proof or percentage. So between 50 and 60 is kind of like my range I like for a lot of whiskeys, and obviously this is at the bottom of the range, but this is a fantastic product. And I think I paid about $33 for this. So a lot of these bottles are usually easy to find on this list that I'm going to be showing as well, which is awesome for a lot of you folks out there. But I think since the new release, I've been seeing this prop up in a lot of different states. So this should be an easy one for you to find, folks, and a fantastic one, a perfect one around a campfire or in the fall. So that was bottle number 3. So then let's amp it up a little bit and let's go into bottle number 4. And we have Maker's 46 Cask Strength. This one is coming in at 55.15% alcohol or 110.3 proof. So with this Maker's, you know, I get some of those tobacco notes. I get some of those kind of like almost, I get a little bit of smokiness on this as well. I think this is, again, a perfect whiskey for the fall, colder nights. You're sitting, coming home after work, sitting by the sofa, watching some TV, watching some football. I think this is a really good whiskey for that. And I also think that kind of the notes that you get on this when you're drinking it neat also stand up to like an ice cube as well, if that's your thing as well. So if you're someone who doesn't necessarily like a cask strength product, get this and stick an ice cube in it, and then it's just so much easier to drink. And I think this is perfect for the fall. Some of the flavor notes on the back, it talks a little bit about amplified notes of caramel, stone fruit, bacon spices, pipe tobacco and cinnamon. So obviously that's a perfect palette for the fall, and again a really good segue for some of those ryes coming in. When you get to the winter, you can start amping up with the ryes. So that was bottle number 4, and again I think I paid about $60 for this, so price is going up a little bit. And again, you know, the availability on the cask strength 46s are pretty wide across the US. If you can't get the 56 cask strength, get the Maker's original cask strength. I think that's a really good alternative, and it comes in around about the same proof as well. So that was bottle number 4. So then coming in at bottle number 5 on this list, and this is the last bottle we're having today, that is Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof. This is a store pick. This is by a local liquor store here in Colorado, but nevertheless, it doesn't have to be a store pick, folks. Just get one of these. There is going to be a little bit of difference between each bottle because it is a single barrel product, but I feel like the whole range, or every one of these I've tried, are all fantastic as well, and there's not too much difference between each one. These are going to run you between $60 and $70. I wouldn't pay more than $75 or $80 unless you've never had one. That would probably, $80 would probably be my max for a first-time buyer on this. The proof and alcohol percentage on this, 64.9% alcohol or 129.8 proof. Again, now this is getting up there. There was 55% ABV on the Makers, and this is almost 65% ABV. This is kind of exactly the same as the Jack Daniel's Bonded, but those notes are just completely more amped up once more. Like those charred notes, like the charred barrel notes, you get an abundance of that on this whiskey. You don't get any of the banana runts or personally I don't get any banana runts that a lot of people typically associate with Jack Daniel's products. I think this is just like more caramel burnt, brown sugar barrel notes with this. And again, with this whiskey, I think if you put an ice cube in it as well, it's not going to detract it from any of those flavors that you're getting. Perfect whiskey for football with an ice cube, or a perfect whiskey for sitting outside on a cold night, or a night that's starting to get cold around a campfire. I just think this is the perfect whiskey for that. So that was the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof. And that's all we have time for today, folks. That was the list. If you enjoy what we're doing here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video as well. And comment down below maybe some whiskeys that you're looking forward to drinking or getting into this fall as we drink through the world's whiskeys one glass at a time. Cheers, folks.